All right, guys, welcome back to What Could Go Wrong. So, today, going to be talking about the different specs and how they're doing so far in season 2. Now, at the time of recording this video, it is only Tuesday. We've only just gotten the reset. So, this is not like a meta tier list. This is not anything crazy like that. This is simply how is everybody doing at the beginning of the week. So don't go changing your mains. Don't go like, don't worry about any of that right now. This is really just something that I think is interesting, and something that I like to keep up with personally, and I thought maybe you guys might too. So first up, I'm gonna say I am ranking specs left to right. Which ones are doing better based off of where they're at. All right. So, with that being said, gonna go ahead and kick things off with Affliction Warlock. So right now, Affliction Warlock is doing okay. Um, they're still over that 25k. So if you are playing, or 2500, excuse me, then if you are playing Affliction, like you're good. However, compared to some of the other specs that we're gonna look at, Affliction is gonna be in the B tier. They're doing all right. They're pushing the keys. They're pushing the content. They're keeping up, but they're not pushing the highest of keys. So with that being said, Affliction's going to sit in a B tier. They're doing okay. Next up is going to be Demonology Warlock. They're in the exact same boat as Affliction. I think Afflictions right now has a couple higher keys than Demo, but like it's so close. They are pretty much even with each other. They're both doing all right. They're keeping up. They're good specs to keep up with, and they're fun to play. So if that's your main, if that's what you're playing, you're still good based off of 1 week of data. All right. Next up is going to be the Destro Warlock. So Destro is slightly above both of the other classes. I think that has to do with representation. I also think it has to do with these are all three the same spec. Which one is going to do slightly more damage? So which one are you going to do higher keys on? And I think because destruction is maybe 1 or 2% above affliction and demonology as far as overall damage goes, I think that's what's putting them in the slightly higher category. All right. So next up is going to be Boomkin. So Balanced Druid is actually, probably to no one's surprise, going up in the S tier. Right now, they are pushing the highest keys. If I remember correctly, some of the highest keys done have had a balanced druid in them, and they are pushing the overall highest of keys. Okay, so moving on, get a couple of these single DPS specs. Elemental. Oddly enough, Elemental is going to go at the top of the A tier. So right now, Elemental is outshining both of its counter specs. I have seen in some of the top runs, I have seen several Elemental um, shamans. So overall, they are doing really, really well right now. Very powerful, very good damage, and just overall a solid spec, solid utility, and a short interrupt. Like it is a very good spec. So next up is going to be Shadow Priest. So Shadow Priest is gonna sit at at the bottom of the A tier. Um, they're doing all right. They're pushing those high keys, but they're not pushing the highest of keys. I think even if I remember correctly, the highest of Shadow Priest is still sitting around that 10 and 11 range, and these other specs are pushing up in 12s, 13s. So there is that. Next up is going to be Devastation Evoker. So Devastation is going to go at the top of the B tier. So Devastation is doing really well right now, mostly because Aug is not and Preservation is not. So they're kind of outshining the Evoker specs. They seem to be doing very well in the sense of getting keys timed, getting them accomplished, but they're not quite good enough to go into those highest of run keys. So they are doing very well though. Next up is going to be augmentation. Augmentation is going to go in the C tier. So the highest augmentate key timed with an augmentation is an 11. That's out of everybody. So augmentation is not pushing these high keys. They're not getting into the high keys, and they're just not overall. They're just not doing very well. Um, Again, probably has to do with gear and tuning. So I wouldn't think too much of it quite yet. But at the end of the first week, augmentation is in the loser category. Right. So next up, we got the hunter specs. So Beast Mastery is actually gonna go at the top of it. Actually, no, I'm gonna put it below. So at the time of recording this video, I did not see any Beast Mastery hunters in the top timed runs. However, they are pushing those higher keys. They are getting up there. Highest high end, I believe it's the top two Beast Mastery hunters are both sitting over 3K right now in rating. So they are doing very, very well. Once we start getting more gear and tier sets, that will really determine where Beastmaster is going to sit. But right now, they are going to go just below Elemental. Next up is MM Hunter. So I'm going to put MM at just above Augmentation just because they are at the end of the day doing higher keys and overall rating. Excuse me, overall rating is going to be higher. I think MM is suffering from this rework. I think that it is just absolutely terrible, and I think that MM needs like some more something, but like they're just not. They're not hitting it right now. All right. So next up is going to be the mage specs. So Arcane is actually going to go at the bottom of B tier. Right now they're doing better than marksmanship and augmentation, but they are just not doing great overall. I think that at the end of the day, Arcane suffers from a lack of identity and over reworking, and I think that's what's really killing the spec. All right. Next up is Frost, and let's put Frost Mage. Put Frost Mage in between Destro and Shadow. So Shadow definitely has higher rating than Frost does, but I think that Frost Mages are doing higher keys. Um, I think that Frost also presents a little bit more to the group and it has a little less to fight with than Shadow does, just because you only want one mage to be there, but at the same time, like you're only gonna want one priest, and right now discipline is just better. So I think with that being said, Shadow Priest is going to suffer from the fact that discipline is just so good right now. And I think until discipline gets knocked down, I think that Frost Mage is just gonna be better. All right. And then last but not least, we have Fire Mage. So Fire Mage is also in the S tier. Right now, Boomkin and Fire are pretty much like tied with each other. I don't really think one is doing better than the other. I would have to actually look at the timed keys a little closer on individual characters to see. But overall, as it stands right now, they're pretty much tied with each other. Okay. So this is what it looks like for ranged DPS. That's all I'm really going to cover in this video. I'll get the other videos out later this week. I have data and everything based off of today, but this is your tier list for the ranged at the end of week 1. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you like the video, subscribe. Going to be posting more week 1 updates over the next few days. And yeah, see y'all later.